everyone. Today I am talking about conquering the itch. We are talking about the itchiness of eczema and other skin conditions, and how do you overcome or conquer this itch? All of us know that the way that we do this in conventional medicine is through medications like steroid creams and injections like Dupixent, and these are not an answer. These are not getting down to the root cause. These are really just covering up the itch, lowering that itch process, but really that underlying problem is still there. The root cause is still there. So how do we deal with this? Well, first of all, one of the best ways of dealing with this is actually overcoming it with mindfulness. And then secondarily, we want to understand what the real root causes of that issues are, of that itchy issue is. And sometimes that is actually having to do with stress and anxiety and being in fight or flight mode. And then we also are going to talk today about the physical parts of things too. So there's emotional and physical aspects to the itchy process. But I do want to start today with that emotional part of things, because we actually have so much power in terms of lowering that itch. There are countless studies that show that mindfulness can actually lower the itch. And I did a post about this earlier this week, where even just by slowing down that nervous system, because often, as we know, those of you who have eczema on this call, when you start to get itchy, it starts to create this train. You jump on the train and it's really hard to get off of it. And the more and more you scratch and the more you're just in pain, uncomfortable, the more and more it's going to be itchy. And this has to do with your adrenal pathways. It has to do with cortisol and cortisone. And we all know that term cortisone because a lot of us who have eczema use hydrocortisones or steroid creams to lower that inflammation. And when you are super stressed out, this is going to affect your cortisol and cortisone levels, and this can be problematic. So you actually have the power to overcome this with mindfulness. So if you do get itchy, one of the first things to lower this is slow things down. The breath that I recommend is a 4-7-8 breath. So you can breathe in for 4, hold that breath for 7 counts, and then release for 8 counts. And really, by slowing down that breath, you can really create relaxation in your body, which then really eases up on your adrenals and can really lower that itchiness. The other thing you can do is a body scan meditation. And what that is really scanning your body and identifying where you have pain, where you're itchy, where you're uncomfortable, and breathing into those areas, relaxing those areas. And there's so much power in this mindfulness. Again, countless studies that really support this, using mindfulness to really lower the itch. And then in your daily life, identifying where you are having anxiety, where you are having tension and stress, and really breathing through those things too. Because a lot of us know who have eczema that if we get stressed out, our eczema just flares. And this is because you are affecting your cortisol, your cortisone, and your adrenal hormones, okay? So mindfulness is really key. If you have kids, this is also something you can do, is really just keep things calm for them, have them breathe through it. The second part of it is, let's move more into the physical now, is your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is essentially a network of vessels that flows through your body. It's kind of like your cardiovascular system, but instead of blood flowing through this, there's something called lymph. And I'd like you to think of your lymphatic system kind of like a garbage disposal of sorts, which your lymphatic system kind of cleans up what's going on. If you have infections in your body, cellular debris and things like that just get cleaned up in your lymphatic system. And in an eczema process, or a process where you are itchy, your lymphatic system is definitely congested. And wherever you are itchy, you are likely having a lot of lymphatic congestion over that area. So one thing that also can be really helpful is lymphatic movement. And so things like lymphatic drainage massage, dry brushing, if you don't have any open wounds over that area. I do like this for the little kids in my practice. Mom, dad, you can actually do lymphatic drainage massage. It usually feels really good for the patient. I also really do like something called bioelectric lymphatic drainage, which is a treatment you can go to a wellness center, and essentially it stimulates the lymphatic system. And I remember when I had eczema, for those of you guys who don't know, I am an eczema survivor myself, and I've been eczema free for over a decade now. But when I had eczema myself, you guys know that scratch that is so deep that you will literally scratch your skin because you're trying to get really deep. And there's that tingly sensation that's making you want to scratch. Essentially, that is your lymphatic system being really congested in those areas. And one of the ways I know that is through bioelectric lymphatic drainage. It is basically a machine, and it just kind of stimulates the lymphatic system, and it gets stuck when you have a lot of lymphatic congestion in certain areas. And I remember it would get stuck here because I would always be itchy right here, and it was getting stuck right here. And essentially it was stimulating that itch that I was always trying to get, and it's like I could never reach it. So bioelectric lymphatic drainage, another really great one to kind of reach that internal itch that you just can't hit. The other thing is just moving that lymphatic system is so important. So for kids, parents, make sure your kids are moving, and then you can do lymphatic drainage massage. For adults, make sure your body's moving. Make sure you're pumping that lymphatic system by exercising and moving your body. Although for some eczema people, I know that your eczema might be so severe that you can't exercise. So oftentimes we work with people to kind of get them to the point where we can then really clear up their lymphatic system, okay? If you follow me, you also know that I always operate on the detox funnel. And for me, the detox funnel is really core to the way I want you to think about your eczema. You have a detox funnel, and as soon as it overflows, you're gonna get symptoms, skin symptoms like eczema. And essentially we need to understand, okay, if you're itchy, are you doing things to fill that funnel? And so that's another way we really can conquer this itch, is we really need to understand, why is your funnel overflowing? What is really causing that burden, and what is causing that funnel to overflow? And so somebody had asked, what tests should I request to find out what triggers my itching every night? There's a number of tests that I really like to do with my eczema patients, from heavy metal testing to environmental toxin testing to food intolerance testing and gut health, mold, etc. These are all things that could be filling your funnel and then causing that overflow. Why does itchiness get worse at night? Well, oftentimes it's actually because our cortisol is falling, and cortisol has that natural effect of lowering inflammation. And so again, this has to do with, that cortisol level, which I was talking about in terms of stress. That's why we sometimes see a lot of itchiness more at night. The other thing is that we detox a lot at night. So oftentimes when we're sleeping, we might actually see more toxin release and get more itchy at that time. If food intolerance, how long until dairy, gluten, eggs removed from the body to start clearing up the skin? So often food intolerance is one of the issues. In Clean Body, in my practice, we really take a 360 investigative approach. Food is usually one part of the puzzle. Unfortunately, it's not usually the whole part of the puzzle. Oftentimes, food is one part of it. Then the other parts are things like heavy metals, environmental toxins, mold, gut dysfunction, etc. And if you are going to remove the foods, you want to remove them for at least 3 weeks to actually see change. And then that doesn't mean now you bring back the food. You want to probably avoid it for at least 3 months to really see that through. And the antibodies have a lifespan of anywhere between 3 weeks and 3 months. So you want to wait till those die off, okay? Someone had a question. I missed it. If you can just retype that question. Another question that came up, 8-month-old boy constantly itching. He is swaddled all of the time to avoid it. Please help. I'm so sorry to hear this. I know that this is such a big problem in our kids, our babies today. I talk about this in my masterclass, which I'm going to be doing another live masterclass next week. So definitely check that out if you want to learn more. But, this is also a problem of the detox funnel, even with our little ones. Our little ones, their detox funnels are overflowing. And one of the reasons for that is mom gives baby toxins via the placenta, via breast milk. And then babies are also exposed to toxins. Unfortunately, in our world today, we have so many toxins in our world that we are exposed to more than decades ago. And so our babies are really being burdened by these toxins, unfortunately. Someone's asking, do hormones play a role? And yes, they absolutely do. So in your detox funnel, not only do toxins go through this funnel, but hormones and fat also need to be metabolized through this funnel. So if the funnel is full, your hormones may not be able to be metabolized. Your hormones then may get a little dysfunctional. Your liver is also one of the organs that really converts a lot of our hormones to the active version of those hormones. So when the liver and the detox funnel are so congested, the hormones are often going to be really off. And then you're also going to see a problem with eczema because that funnel is full. And then because you might have dysfunction in the hormones, you also may see a problem additionally to the eczema even more. So it's kind of cyclical. Everything feeds everything else. So, we have to understand, again, a 360 approach in terms of really understanding all the factors. The Dutch test is a great option in terms of testing for hormones. So, yep, that's a test that I do use. What are your thoughts on burdock root tea for skin and blood issues? Yeah, I love burdock root. You do want to make sure if you are using herbs that you're working with a naturopathic doctor or an herbalist or someone who can really help you with that. I do like it. What I would like to say is that there is not one answer for every person. We really need to do an investigation to understand, what is actually going on with you? What are the specifics going on with you? What part of the detox funnel is wrong with you? Is it your gut? Is it your liver? Is it your kidney? Is it your gallbladder? And what toxins? Everyone's going to have different toxins. Some people will have heavy metals. Some people will have environmental toxins. So, burdock root, great option if we're trying to kind of cleanse, but it may not be right for everybody. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I missed it. Can that person please retype your question? I did miss it. It was kind of a long one. I think it was an 11-month-old. Please retype that if possible. And another person said, I have been having severe dry skin and itch. Nothing helps. My skin won't absorb any lotion. So for this person, my question is, what happened? What's the story? When did this start? And if we can understand why your funnel is overflowing, we can fix the problem. So if you guys are interested, I do a free live masterclass. It's coming up next Wednesday. I do also have an on-demand masterclass if you'd like to check that out right now. Link is in my bio. We also have a free assessment if you guys want to just fill that out. It takes about 10 minutes and you can just see how full your detox funnel is. And lastly, I do a discovery consultation where we can meet and we can really understand. I'll analyze your journal. You'll do some journal entries for me. You're going to upload some photos and I'm going to understand what we need to do to help you. Okay. All right. Oh, I missed it again. Her neck is on pain, especially during the morning. She gets really itchy before going to bed. What do you recommend? Missed the first part of it. Can you just type that one out? The 12-year-old daughter, I think eczema. Oh, eczema on the face, neck, and arms. Okay. So what do I recommend? I recommend that you do my on-demand masterclass so you can learn a little bit more and book a discovery consultation so we can meet, so we can understand. I can really understand what the root causes are. I create a hypothesis to understand, what's going on. And then we kind of figure out, okay, how are we going to prove this hypothesis? What tests do we need to do? And then what treatment is potentially indicated? If you are interested, you could also do the assessment for your daughter. Some of the questions for the assessment, they don't necessarily apply to little babies, but it's great to fill it out so you can just kind of get an idea of what the detox funnel looks like for you or your child. How do I do the masterclass? Go to the link in my profile, and on that button, it's just kind of like we'll show a bunch of buttons, and you can click the one that says free live masterclass. And you can either do the live one, which is on next Wednesday, or you can go ahead and do the on-demand one, which is a replay of one of my past classes, okay? Someone is asking, how do you drain the lymphatic system if your lymph nodes are swollen and sticking out? If your lymph nodes are swollen and sticking out, this is a big problem. This is the root cause of your eczema. This is something that really needs to be taken care of. There's a number of ways I mentioned earlier, so lymphatic drainage, really great, but we have to make sure all of your detox organs are working well. If you're going to move that lymphatic system, you have to be pooping, you have to be urinating, you have to drink enough water. Otherwise, when you move that lymphatic system and you don't have those exits working well, your eczema is probably going to get worse. So I do recommend, working with someone. Again, I can meet you personally and assess you and really understand what are the steps you need to take. Looks like you might need to do some investigation. If the lymphatic system is really congested, I'm wondering if you have some microbes that are overgrowing. So like yeast, fungus, that kind of thing. Chelation, yes, I definitely do a lot of chelation. We can do EDTA, we can do DMSA, we could do DMPS. It depends on what we find and what I think is the most appropriate for you. 11-month baby with eczema, allergic to cow's milk, but has been tolerating Bobby formula with non-fat milk. Worried to discontinue due to important brain development with cow's milk. Any advice? I cannot give any specific advice to people if I don't know the full history, but what I will say is I do find with eczema, cow's milk is a problem no matter what version it is. There are maybe better versions, but typically dairy is a problem for most of my eczema patients. I would potentially recommend, and this is formula, I do like the goat's milk, organic goat's milk formula. I think it's called HIP, HIPP, or Holle, HOLLE, one of those. I do like that organic goat's milk formula. I do believe it's a European formula. I do like that, but everybody's different. So we might want to do some testing to confirm that. We could do some food intolerance testing to see if your baby is really intolerant to that. But more than likely, I would say there's a big possibility there will be an intolerance there. Yes, this will be saved. I'm actually redoing this IG Live, guys. I actually did this on Wednesday and it did not save. So I do like to save all these so you guys can always refer back to it. So I will be saving this. I will post it after. Hopefully it saves this time. And yes, so that you can go back and I did answer that question. All right. And are there any other questions here? I think I answered all the questions that were submitted. If you guys have any other questions, please go ahead and type into the chat box. So let's just kind of go back here. So itching, how do you deal with this? Number one, mindfulness. It is really key. You guys have to calm down when you are itchy. I know it's really hard to do. And I know, like I see, and I remember feeling it. But if you just slow things down, you can really slow things down to the point where actually the itchiness drops. Number two, lymphatic movement. Make sure that you are moving that lymph because that's actually what you're trying to do when you're scratching. You are actually trying to get to the place where the lymph needs to move. So pump that lymph, either exercise, do lymphatic drainage massage or dry brushing. Another really helpful tool is ice. Cold therapy. So I love cryotherapy for adults where you basically get into a chamber and it's really cold. That cryotherapy, great for people with topical steroid withdrawal, TSW, where you're getting withdrawal symptoms from stopping your steroid creams. So I love cryotherapy. Ice rollers are really great. We actually have a whole list of product recommendations. Link is in my bio as well too. Go to product recommendations, the link in my bio. And we have a bunch of recommendations there for eczema people. Go under skin and beauty and you'll see ice rollers. Those can be really helpful as well too. Ice therapy, ice packs, those can be really helpful for lowering that itch and lowering the inflammation. I do really love the cryotherapy though, especially if you have TSW or if the eczema is really widespread. If eczema was caused from immune response to pregnancies and hormones, what are some steps to take safe while breastfeeding? Really good question. For breast feeding women, you have to work with someone. We cannot recommend things if you're breastfeeding, especially if we don't know your health and we don't know the baby's health. So we have to, understand your health in order to recommend things, because with breastfeeding, you do want to make sure that you're not releasing things into baby. So we'll want to do some, and it's hard to say what the cause is. You're saying your immune response from pregnancies and hormones. Well, what that potentially means is your funnel was already full, and then with the hormones of pregnancy, your funnel started overflowing is a possibility. There's a lot of other possibilities too. So again, it's really key with this that you guys do a really thorough investigation and you work with someone to really investigate your case, okay? And we can investigate that for you. Again, free live masterclass, free assessment, and then discovery consultation are all ways that we can help assess what's going on in your health. Do I recommend light therapy? So light therapy can be very helpful. There's lots of different kinds of light therapy. So there's red light therapy. That's something you guys can actually get at home. That's really great. It can actually lower inflammation and stimulate new cellular growth, skin cellular growth. There's also the UV therapy that you would get from your doctor. And I do find them to be helpful, but I don't find them to be curative, okay? So we want to really get to the root cause, and the light therapy is a wonderful tool. It's something additional you can use, but it's not necessarily getting to the root cause, and that's really key for me. Like I said, I suffered from eczema for 30 years of my life. I discovered naturopathic medicine 25 years into my life, and I have now been eczema free for 10 years of my life. And so I really understand what you guys are feeling, but I also understand now what getting to the root cause means. It means I never, ever, ever, ever deal with eczema anymore. It's not even a problem. I never have to worry about it. I do lead a very healthy life, but I don't live a very strict life. So I live an 80-20 rule where I'm very clean for most of my life. I do cleanse twice a year, so I keep myself very clean. And because of that, I have zero eczema. Like I never even have a patch, even if I'm stressed, even if I eat outside of my diet, I don't have these problems anymore. I used to be allergic to shrimp. I'm no longer allergic to shrimp. So my funnel is no longer overflowing. I keep my funnel very clean. So that's really the goal. And with itchiness, there are things we can do to kind of mitigate the itchiness in the meantime. And I mentioned some of those things here. We can also use natural topicals. We really want to try to avoid steroid creams, but those natural topicals, things again, I would recommend particularly for different people. Like if I see that you might have a yeast problem, we might go a different route from someone else who has a different problem. Okay, so everybody who has eczema, atopic dermatitis, hives, everybody has different reasons. So you really can't tackle things in the same way, okay, for every person. If you're not in my area for treatment or consultation, how do I find someone in your specialty in my area? So so we can support everyone in every area, even internationally. It's just the degree to which we can support you will be different in different areas. So we can see people virtually. So there's no one we can't help on this call because we can support everyone in every area. We have different varying levels of support. Psoriasis. Okay, yeah, psoriasis also fits into everything I have been talking about today. Psoriasis, the difference with it is there's typically an autoimmune component that is happening. With eczema, there could be an autoimmune component, but it doesn't have to be there. With psoriasis, I typically see that there's an autoimmune component happening. And so we need to identify, same things though, we still need to identify what toxins, what's burdening the system to stimulate that autoimmune reaction that's happening with the psoriasis. So we're treating things very similarly, but everybody is going to have different reasons, okay? And with psoriasis, sometimes, the process might take a little longer because we already know that there's an autoimmune reaction that's happening. But frequently what I find are things like heavy metals, like lead and mercury in my psoriasis patients. I also very commonly find mold, okay? So those are things that we can test for. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this IG Live. We were talking about conquering the itch. If you're just getting here, I will be posting this, so you can check it out on my Instagram feed. And yes, we do online consultations. We do, actually everything is pretty much virtual. So if you do a discovery consultation with me, that will be a virtual consultation. And, you know, things that you guys can do, you can do our free assessment, which is a 10-minute assessment where you'll fill out a bunch of lengthy questions. We really go in depth with this questionnaire, and you'll get a little kind of printout of, okay, what does your detox funnel look like? After that, if you want me to analyze that for you and analyze your skin and analyze your health, then you can book a discovery consultation with us. You can also do my free masterclass. I have a live one next Wednesday. I also have an on-demand one, so you can check out a past masterclass that I've done. Okay? All right. Well, I want you guys to leave today with some hope. I want you guys to know there are definitely answers there. There are ways we can conquer this itch, and not just for a short period of time, but for a lifetime is what I really hope. Again, I am 10 years, no eczema, no itchiness, and I know that everyone can make it there. Okay? You're very welcome, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. All right, bye everybody.